All right. Hello, guys. Once again, welcome to our Human Touch program, episode 3. Today, we have a very interesting guest. She's a MD and HR project director of a company called Career Management Center Limited. And also, she's a certified professional coach with more than 15 years experience in the professional, rather in the HR professional. And with me is none other than Coach Jane Mutisya. Karibu sana, Madam Jane Mutisya. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, Peter Mushemi,
Yes.
crew HR. I like that.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
first of all, thank you very much for honoring our request and invitation to be our guest in this episode. We are very glad and excited. And again, we look forward to learning more about your career journey. Probably briefly, Human Touch program is a new program started by Crew HR so that we can interview experienced and entry level HR professionals and learn more about their work, their personal journey, and what motivates every day to manage people. I know HR is not easy, like most people assume, and that's why we want to demystify that, so that people can have empathy and what it takes to be a HR. So let's dive into it. Please introduce yourself. Be free to tell us anything you want, from your personal life to your, to your education background and all that.
Okay. Thank you so much, Peter. So my name is Jane Mutisya, as you have said, and I'll start with maybe education. I studied biochemistry from the University of Nairobi, BSc biochemistry. And then after that, I realized I did want to do science and what people were doing in the country for that particular course. And therefore, someone influenced me and I ended up doing HR. I had a diploma or a postgraduate diploma on human resource management. And then after that, I was able to proceed and have my postgraduate qualification from University of Nairobi, got a job, different agencies. I've worked for several NGOs, mostly. I worked for the BBC, worked for International Medical Corps, worked for Chemonics, a USA company by Chemonics. And I also worked for, my last job was HR and admin manager for Eastern Africa Regional Office for Practical Action International. I am also a certified coach. I basically did a lot with career coaching, individuals to just maximize their career, to stop stagnating or feeling like they're not even passing in interviews and things to do with that. So in a nutshell, that is who.
Amazing. Thank you very much. I can see you have a quite a wealth of experience there. And you mentioned that you studied biochemistry, and you reminded me that back in the days when I finished high school, I was considering doing a course called analytical chemistry. Actually, I was very good in chemistry. That was my best subject. But however, I found myself into tech. So I'm trying to link HR and biochemistry. What made you go into the field of HR? Was it by luck? Was it by choice?
To be sincere, I would say it's luck, because what happened, I just knew I did want to stay. Okay, most people who do biochemistry, either you go to the diaspora and maybe master, whatever, you have to master it. For you to use it and use science, you have to go to the master level. And I did want to do that. I did want to go out of the country at that particular moment. And I did want to do what they were doing here in the country. So I knew I had to change. I did not even work even 1 month. I cleared the bachelor's in July. In the following year, January, I was in school studying HR. So I just knew I wasn't going to do, the sciences in terms of work. And therefore, I went through what most people go through, looking through very many courses and asking people, what do you think I would do? Can I do banking? I went to Kenya School of Kenya School of Bankers in Thika Road. I had so many people just asking them, what do I do? Do I do marketing? Do I do what? And then I just happened to meet someone whose wife was a HR person. And they told me the wife was, I've never met them again. The wife was a HR in Safaricom and they were having a blast. And that's how I ended up in HR. Funny enough, that day I bought a magazine and the college had advertised actually itself there. So that Monday, I did not even wait for him to give me the heads up. Went to school, came back in admission letter. The following day I was in class studying something that was so different that had so much notes compared to what I'd done in undergrad. But it was different and nice.
So probably
I enjoyed
what made you
yeah.
or that what made the stranger convince you? Because I understand from what you're saying, you just met someone who
Yes.
told you about HR. What convinced you to go into HR?
Of course, I asked him, what does it
Interesting?
entail?
Yep.
At that point, it was something very funny. I wouldn't tell you it was passion for people, like I've had people saying and things to do with that. I would
Yeah.
maybe almost say passion for power. Because every time would send application, they would go to the HR. But I didn't know where do they go to study this HR? I had never heard of such a profession, but I knew all my internships, I would address them to the HR person. Where they go to school, I didn't know. So when this person told me I could study HR, I was like, you mean there's a course that these people do? Where do they study it? So it's something that I would have wanted to do, but I didn't know where to start. I didn't know it was a formal course that could actually be trained for me to be able to jumpstart.
Ah, interesting. So you mean there is no course that one can study in the university to specialize in human resources, or did they?
What people lack is information. Let me just say at that point, I lacked that particular information. I was coming from a science background. Almost all my networks were science. My friends would be doing masters in this, PhD in this. My parents are medics. So it was either I go do masters in public health or things to do with that. That's what I headed in my space.
Ah, interesting.
So most people lack information. Right now we have bachelors in HR and all that. But you see, I wasn't looking to go back to school and do a bachelor's degree. I was looking for a postgraduate, a
Okay.
diploma to help me transition within the shortest time possible without feeling like I'm starting afresh.
Okay. And
Yes.
how was the process? Was it tough?
The process of
Like transitioning from biochemistry? I know biochemistry is tough. In terms of
the reading was easy. The reading was very easy. It wasn't hard. But the
okay.
hardest was looking at all the adverts and seeing all of them asking for social sciences.
Yeah,
And in that class, I was the only one who was not a social scientist.
yeah,
And I kept feeling maybe I'm making the worst mistake of my life. I kept regretting saying, maybe I should have just gone and done accounts, CPA. They would think I don't have to be a social scientist to do that.
yeah.
But funny enough is that because of that particular feeling like I was already weak on that, I think I worked extra hard. I would go online, I would talk to people. I worked on how to make my CV. I worked on how to interview. I went to the school of HR, and I remember it's the same principle. I spoke to Margaret Kagode and told her, if anybody's looking for an intern, even a volunteer, here is my CV. True, I didn't mark. So I remember I finished in November, and December, I stayed home in December, dropping, CVs everywhere. But the one that came through is the one that the college forwarded to a university called AVU, African Virtual University. In January, around 5th, 6th, they called me for an interview. We were around 13 of us, people with social sciences, and I sat there saying, I have to not think about that I'm a social being before even I am trained to become a social scientist. And that was my work, to just confirm, guess what, I am just social, even without the degree in a social science. So I went in and I didn't get home. They called me. My boss called me and I was told, you can come in tomorrow, sign your contract. Yeah, and that's how I started. I just went, I signed, had 1 year of my internship. It was 4 months renewed. I learned so much. But because I kept fearing for this background of mine, I think I used to always work extra hard. So that particular as much as I was an intern, I went for very many courses. I was able to do labor laws. I was able to do renovation. I just wanted to just equip myself to make sure my background doesn't work against me.
Wow.
Including the job. I just didn't do, I had a mentor then, and this mentor helped me draw a work plan of what I should achieve in my internship. He was like, make sure you understand recruitment end to end, make sure you understand this end to end, make sure you understand this. And therefore, I'd always ask my boss, this we haven't covered. Would you have some time to show me how it is done practically? And all the functions of HR, I had a plan on how I'm going to ask my boss when they show, and my boss was really sweet and very gracious. And therefore, by the end of that 1 year, I didn't have mark. My internship was to end on that 1st December, 19th of December, I reported to work.
Wow, wow. I do like your determination and perseverance. More so, through that transition. I know it's a lot of effort that is required to transit, but somehow because of your perseverance, your determination and resilience, you are able to, go through that period. Now, from
It's
your
actually a lot
profile,
of work. It's actually a lot of work when you are mature, when you are much older. But when you're fresh from school, it's easy because
yeah,
all of you are fresh.
yeah,
Even those who have started whatever you're looking for,
yeah.
they're also fresh. They have to be trained the practical. So when you're young, if you want to transition and you're young, then it's always easy. When
Yeah.
you wait until you are much older, then there's a problem because now they can't give you an intern, they can't make you an assistant. You have worked in the bank for 5 years and you want to transition. Now you have to use other skills. But in terms of transition, when you're fresh from school and you're still in your 24, 23, 26 years, it's very easy.
Yeah, and I think there's one person who said that in case you want to experiment with life, probably through your career, whether it's in entrepreneurship, like what you're doing, this is the right time to do it when you're young because you don't have a lot of responsibility. You have the energy to do all that. Wow, amazing. So from your profile, I see you've worked in very, big companies. So what I'm interested to learn is what is it like to be in a HR profession? What was your experience like?
For me, I would say it's interesting. It's one of those areas that you have to use your heart and use your brain.
Okay.
I call it heart and rational.
Okay.
HR, heart and rational. You have to use your brain so that you're not just becoming a robot and not doing what you're doing. At the same time, you really have to be empathetic. You really have to feel the people because that's what we call human. So for me, being in HR, I think I felt I've experienced my sweet and sour moments like any other profession. I've
Yeah.
been able to do things that I feel were game changing. Maybe worked in a place whereby people didn't have, like one place that I like talking about was one place whereby we had very many young mothers. We had very many people who were in their 24, 25, 26, and they work in involved field. So they would travel to very many places. And because they are young and productive, so you'd find that in one time you have like 3 ladies who have kids and they're back from maternity and they have to travel to the field. And they are paid kidogo because they are just young. So maybe you're paying this person 30,000, 40,000. They can't afford to travel with their nanny. They can't afford to travel to leave the baby, and they have to keep the job because they need the job. So just coming up with those policies that make people feel like you care for them, you engage. When you put that business case to the CEO and say, you know what, if we have to keep these women, if for sure we are saying we are ABCD, we should be able to support either they go for maternity for 6 months, or we pay for them to travel with their nanny and the baby for the time that they're traveling, or we make sure they do not travel within the first 6 months when the babies are not eating. So you just put such a simple proposal, a business case, and the CEO approves. It gives you a lot of joy. You go to another place, they don't have a medical cover, and you're able to just think through and come up with initiatives that make you come up with something as simple as that, and people are happy and they don't have to sleep worrying, what if I fall sick? What if ABCD happens? You go to a place and there are no policies to guide even how people are promoted, how they are demoted, how they are, how they are separated, and they depend on how they know the CEO and all. And you put a structure, and now people have a certain level of security, of certainty, and it makes them feel nice. You go and realize that people don't even have contracts, and you just put a system that makes everybody have a contract, and they feel they have the basic minimum that are required according to Maslow hierarchy of needs. Just security, feeling I am secure, I can come to work, and if something happens, there will be a fair process to treat me. For me, I have found HR very exciting. I know people don't like us sometimes. They call us heartless, but I can tell you there's nothing to do with HR being heartless. It's only that sometimes even the employees misbehave. People misbehave, and they force us to make very difficult decisions. Like assuming you come and you're a thief and you have stolen something and maybe it is not obvious, and we terminate you from employment. As Jane, I only terminate you if I know I can go to bed and have my good night's sleep, because I know that was the best for the business and for every year, and even for you to learn the lesson, and I'll not feel bad. But that particular person will still go and not tell the truth. He will still go and spread their own stories about what happened without giving the true picture of why exactly it was separated. But in a pool of maybe 300 employees, even 50 employees, where should you be just firing you, Peter? I know there are times that maybe some managers will misbehave and all that, but most of the times there's a reason why this particular person has, that decision is actually made for them. So for me, being in HR has been very exciting. I've been able to come up with initiatives and projects that I feel make me very proud to have joined HR.
Wow.
Just being able to talk with employees and guide them, tell them, you know what, from how you're performing, from how we are gauging you, take this career map. And 5 years down the line, you see them calling you and telling you, I am doing very well, Jane. Thank you for that advice. I am now moved from this. I didn't know my career. I am now a monitoring and evaluation specialist. It is just exciting.
Wow. You play like the role, I would say, the role of a mother in a family, whereby you nurture people and, have a lot of empathy with them. Huh? Wow, amazing. So, what is a typical day for a HR like, from your own perspective?
Let me just say that I don't like saying that the HR acts like the mother in the company. I know mothers are very, very good. I am one, especially with our children.
Yeah.
But sometimes when people say that, I don't know what they imagine. But I want to just say, you're just someone who cares. I don't like when people bring that in the office. So when we come to the office, then forget about the mother, father, and all that. We are just here as business leaders. We are going to make decisions that make us to feel more engaged, that are going to also make the business be there post tomorrow. Yeah, so I do not want to be called a mother, because a mother can never say no to their children.
Okay.
Even when they have done the worst of the worst, they will not tell you no. Like they will still have you back. Unfortunately, organizations and where HR has been placed, there are some things they have told you we have to separate. You are living. So for me, I always run away when people say HR is like the mother in the organization, because it can be a man. You're not going to tell him that he's the mother or the father in the organization.
Yeah.
Only that we are many women, but yes, it is. I do not like that.
Right. So it's from the perspective of the care and all that.
Yes, there is care, but this care, it's care and many other things. It is not just one function. It's just it's care and many other things. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I think I need to correct that, because I always used to assume that, and I used to tell people that the HR is like your mom.
No.
Just go
And
talk
that's how
to
people
her.
confuse us. They think because as HR, your work is to bembeleza, like to,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's far from it, far from it.
Interesting. I think I've learned something today. So probably the next question will be, what is a typical day for a HR profession? How does it look like when you enter the office from the morning? What kind of skills do you experience?
I will speak about myself. Okay, when I was employed, I wouldn't say it was a typical day, but of course, I had the normal function of HR. Yeah. Maybe you're recruiting, maybe you are doing a policy, maybe today you're having a disciplinary case, maybe you're just having, some session with employees on staff engagement and needs to do with that. Maybe it's about guys coming to us for leave, others coming with they have a sick baby in hospital, the CEO calling you for this and that. It can be all those meetings and stuff to do with that. Yeah. But for me as a HR consultant, I wouldn't tell you I have a typical day. I'll wake up in the morning, I have planned this, then this comes and it's an emergency. This particular organization wants me to go and do this for them. They have this file that needs to be put off. But all in all the duties will revolve around the management of the employee life cycle. From recruitment to training and development, to inductions, to performance appraisals, productivity management, engagement, catch up the organization, career development for people, capacity building, all the way to separation. So regardless of your level, it is around there, only that people now plug in at the different levels. We'll have the operational levels, we'll have the strategic level, we'll have, the business partnering level. So depending where you come in, but, all those functions is what the typical day will look like, plugged at different levels.
Amazing. So every professional usually have a bad day. For example, for people like us who do code, and I'm sure you've used applications and sometimes they are not working. Probably something like M-Pesa is not working. That's one of the examples of a bad day of a software developer. So what are some of the bad days that you experience as a HR professional? What are some of the challenges you experience?
I think the worst is when you have to give bad news to someone who is your friend. You are their HR, but they're also your friend.
Yeah.
Like assuming, or sometimes you have to hold information that this particular person, you are friends because Even as HR, you have friends in the office, but then your confidentiality, your professionalism depends with how much you can hold this information until when it is the right time to share. I'll give an example of one time that we're doing a retrenchment. So we'll do these meetings at management level and we're planning for who is going to be affected. And I know my best friend so-and-so is going to be affected, so-and-so is going to be affected, and it could be 2 months before. And I can't discuss this with them until the day CEO says we are going through change and ABCD. And we sit and the HR have to do their final dues, do the computation, inform the Ministry of Labor, and maybe we haven't told them, all those things before, because maybe the company wants to make a budget before they can announce or other, whatever reason that it is. So I'm doing this, I'm working on your final something, and you walk into my room, to my office, and we smile, we go for lunch, come back, continue working. And it just feels like a betrayal. It feels like, oh my God, am I her friend? At the same time, you have a professionalism to hold. Yeah. You have to balance those two very, very, very. And that's why you see people saying HR is heartless, or sometimes saying you don't trust them. They're high risk people, all that.
There is a snitch.
They are or a snitch, but they don't understand that it's a tricky balance for you, because now these people are your friends, but you have a profession and a job to keep also. And the reputation which will go beyond that particular job. Or sometimes another bad days when you have to fire your friends. This person is your friend. They have been defrauding the company, or they forged the certificates. You didn't know that. And now this has come to light, and it is you that is going to sit on the other side of the desk and tell them, Peter, can you kindly explain to me what happened on the 19th? When you came in, were you inducted? Did you get the policies? And they look at you and they're wondering, is this the same Jane that we normally have lunch with? Why is she asking me such difficult questions? And when they live there, they live with a bad perception about who you are as a person and who you are and therefore, and they go spreading. HR people are high risk, they're bad, they're ABCD, but they don't take time to understand the situation from your shoe.
Yeah.
What would happen if I told them in advance that they're about to be fired? Because they'll still go and talk about it.
It would probably cause kills.
Yeah, so you just lose your job. Trust me. So I think that is the hardest for me as a HR person. Having to know that something that is not so pleasant is about to happen to someone who is my friend there, even firing them, or that, or a pay raise. You are my friend, we are giving pay raises and you haven't performed well. And I have to tell you that, guess what? We are putting you on a PIP.
You have to go.
Or a performance improvement plan, which is a slippery floor, It's like we are about to slide outside, either way. So, it doesn't feel nice. And this particular person, you're wondering, do I call them in the evening? What do I tell them? And maybe you just call to say, what is just work. Yeah. And they're like, so those are the bad days that we face.
Wow. I can only imagine how it feels, because like you said, I think to me it would feel like a betrayal, but sometimes you have to make the tough decision because it's your job and you have to be tough,
Yeah. But the employee will never understand. They say, Jane knows I have a kid in school, Jane knows I have a mortgage, and she still decided this, and they forget it is not your decision. So HR is put in a very delicate place where some decisions are very unpopular.
Yeah.
But they are the best for the business at that particular point, and maybe even for the employee, Yeah, so that is a dilemma.
Wow. Unpopular is
unpopular decisions, yes. Yeah. Necessary but unpopular.
Yeah. Underline unpopular. Going next.
Underline unnecessary too.
Right now, we've been having COVID-19 and so many things are changing. Maybe from the way we do things. So what are some of the trends that you expect in the HR profession?
Going forward?
COVID-19 or because of anything else that might come, because of technology or, what do you think would be the major trend?
I think it's just moving from saying this is how we have always done things here. That has to die, not just for HR, but for any profession.
Yeah.
People have to keep evolving based on the industry, because again, what will work for HR in this industry may not work for HR in another industry. So depending on the industry, people have to continuously evolve. And I like quoting Charles Darwin when I get and say, Charles Darwin said, he left us with this quote, that the most adaptable are the ones that will survive.
Okay.
Not necessarily the most intelligent.
Yeah. The most adaptable.
So the most adaptable are the ones that will survive, not necessarily the most intelligent. So as long as you're not adapting to what is changing, so we have to have our antennas up there asking ourselves what has happened. We were used to telling people you came in late. Why are you leaving early? Why didn't you come for the meeting? I am home and I don't have internet, so I can say I missed the meeting. So we have to move now from force, sometimes coercing people to do things, to ensure people have buy-in on what you are doing and they want to do. They are motivated enough. So that motivation of making people be able to like what they do is really a huge task now for HR. Coercion may not be the only way that I know most people would use. Like, if you don't come to work, if you don't do ABCD, then people would ask you and this and this and this and this. Of course, the basics will remain. We'll keep recruiting, we'll keep doing ABCD, but so much will change. So much will change. Even how already tech has changed so much. How we do the long listings, how we do even interviews. They are now audio interviews like what you are doing. You are asked questions, you answer, you respond, and that particular artificial intelligence shortlist who proceeds now to the next level. So until the people are able to now go to that level and move from everything is online. If it's leave, we would have files like this for leave forms. Now everything is online and people are not even coming to the office. So they don't even need you to send a leave form that is hard copy. I don't leave until the leave form has come to my desk. That has gone. It went with COVID. When COVID came, you understand? So much has changed. It's always about renewing yourself, analyzing and seeing how do we best survive going forward. And knowing you do not all know the answers. It is time you keep calling people. We are facing this. Can we brainstorm on what is the best way going forward? Otherwise, when you keep asking people that HR is changing, you have to answer yourself as the HR, changing to what? What are you changing to? You understand? Yeah. If you're not going to be doing what you have been doing, the long listing, the ABCD, so what next for you? You need to see that 5 steps ahead. You need to see that even before it comes to you. Otherwise, to be a complaint for you, to be a regret or rather.
Like they say, change is inevitable. We cannot avoid it.
They say that, and then they also say the only person who enjoys change is a wet baby when you're changing a wet diaper. So it's a tricky. Pardon?
I'm saying I'm not keeping up with your quotes. You have too much of them.
Those are only two.
All right. Now, moving on next. You are a very good example of, despite what you learned in school, you can always do what you want, whether it's because of circumstance, whether it's because of passion, because I know most people are not doing what they actually like. Probably they were forced by their parents, probably circumstances, probably it's because of there's no opportunities. What would you advise someone who is aspiring to join the HR profession? Whether it's because they want it or whether it's because it's circumstance that will force them. What is it that
what circumstances?
Yeah.
What circumstances will force them? I don't know what circumstances, but if they want to join, they should join knowing that the traditional HR is gone. It's gone by the system. Because if you're not going to be having the leave forms, the files for this, if you're not going to be having, I don't know, even insurance has everything now already automated and all that. So it's moving to a place whereby it's becoming a very strategic role. So it's a good course you will enjoy. You need to have to be very firm. You need to have what do I say, a steady heart. You need to be someone who can communicate both good and sometimes very hard news to people. You need to just do your best to remain the best, to be outstanding, because the average in HR nowadays is just struggling, because anytime that they can't feel your contribution, you're the next in the axe. Anytime they can't feel your contribution, anytime they can cut costs with you because something you're going to deliver what you deliver. So until you know what it is that you're giving that is so special as a HR person, you must know your game. So one thing, if you join HR, you need to expand your networks. Not just with the HR team, but beyond HR. Have friends with the law firms, have friends with people in accounting, have friends from all over. Anything to expand your networks, go for it. Anything to expand your network. And then if you get to HR, don't just sit in back office like most people do. You sit waiting for guys to always come to you with issues. Come like you're the chief of the organization. No. You can, even the chief does tours and they zunguka and see what is happening. So understand who are the customers for your desk. What does the CEO want from your desk? Be very clear what the CEO would consider important. Trust you me, leave management is important, but that may not be what he's looking for by employing you. So as the CEO, depending of course with the level, because we are different cadres, there are those who are assistant, that's okay. There is the officer, there is ABCD, there is the director. Whichever level you are, if that is your customer, ask yourself, what does this customer want? Employees that are coming to you, what do they want? Sometimes all they want is efficiency. They bring a request to you, it takes 10 days instead of just 2 hours. They're only looking for efficiency. If they can't get that efficiency, then So understand all your customers. If you have stakeholders, if it's the managers, what do the managers want from your desk to feel like there's a HR person? So don't just have you sitting there waiting for guys to come. Be proactive, map them. This particular customer, what would I communicate to them? What can I do with them? Including asking them, this particular customer, and be friends with the people and ask them what they do in their organizations. That way you're able to deliver the A game. You're able to just remain in the space. And of course, keep updating yourself. Keep updating and knowing what is happening. Don't get stuck on, we have always done things here this way. You will soon become extinct, you and your value that is. So you need to keep moving to the next level.
Yeah, get it.
Yeah.
Amazing. So, like we said, keep adapting, keep learning, keep reskilling. There's another
agility, that one.
Emily said, keep reskilling yourself. So that
keep reskilling.
Yeah. So I know you're very ambitious, and at this juncture, I would like to ask you, what can we expect from you in the short term or in the long term? What are your future goals? What do you want to change in terms of HR in this country, in this region? Because I know you're not the type of person who just focuses within the boundary. You're that person who goes outside the boundary. What can we expect from you?
Okay, super duper. So 2 things. I'm very keen on HR mentorship. I've been running mentorship programs for upcoming HR practitioners and even people who have worked for long and they want to transition to HR.
Yeah.
So I'll keep doing that, ensuring that they fully understand HR away from the traditional HR away from the paper pushing, HR away from the one for just waiting for instructions from the CEO, HR away from letting the CEO or the manager do your work. HR is able to drive the HR agenda, the heart and the rational, in a very proactive way. So I would love to keep that, and I hope to expand that beyond Kenya. Hopefully that will be our goal for 2022 actually.
Yeah.
And the other thing is I just finished my certification in terms of a certified professional coach, and I would like to now work with organizations to develop HR for them to understand that every managing people with the heart is not the work of the HR alone. Every line manager has that bit. We cannot keep bringing good people and they keep leaving because our managers are not good. So that is what I would want to give now at a bigger scope to ensure that our managers, our organizations are full of empathy. They're able to manage people like people with emotions, with not just looking at the business, but looking at the new ways that you're going forward, because HR going forward is about engagement, employee engagement, talent management, and just ensure that people feel like they belong to that organization, like they're growing. Because now if you're going to move away from the paperwork, like I've said, then we have to be felt in that space of ensuring that we are bringing people and they're engaged, and we can never do this because the ratio of HR to the employees is very little. It's very low. You'll find like you have 1 HR and maybe 50 employees. 100 employees, maybe 2 HR people. It therefore means that their impact can never be felt. Even if we had a policeman, 1 police, 100 people would still say the same, So that ratio is very high. It's going to remain the same way. So until we are able to know which mechanism we use to ensure that our impact is felt, and therefore we have to now know how to develop this. We have to know how to work with the line managers, the departmental managers, the supervisors, and show them HR for non-HR and see how they make it work in a way that HR doesn't feel like they're scared, in a way that HR becomes a specialist in ensuring that things are running, and the only things that come to him are the ones that need specialist advice. But the day-to-day of people not treated properly, conflict, just being able to understand and see how to make people perform and feel like they belong is tackled with at the lowest level possible.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that aligns with our mantra as Crew HR, focus on people. because
people first, people first.
the moment probably you focus more on the normal traditional tasks of the HR, like what you are saying, like signing leave sheets and all that, you spend more time on that other than spending time on people, maybe strategy that can engage more people, in a better way and so on and so forth. Well, I like it. Wrapping up, what is it that you'd recommend to organizations in Kenya, particularly SMEs, as far as managing their HR, processes,
Wow. So SMEs are my clients actually. Actually, what we do at Career Management Center is providing HR services to organizations that do not have HR function. We have some internationals, but the majority tend to be SMEs. SMEs owned by people who work for proper organizations and they understand the value of HR. But unfortunately, most of them never have systems. Some things may look like they are basic, but they are very key. Something like a job description is very important because it's first of all legal. Employment law requires that everybody is given a job description that defines what am I doing, because you can't even tell me I didn't perform if I don't have a JD. So you'll find that those SMEs, you find that people don't have job descriptions, people don't have contracts. When they expire, they are not renewed on time. People have not been confirmed when they are probation, and those things matter to the employee. An employee wants to feel, it makes them feel more engaged. And I call them the minimum standards of HR. HR are minimum standards. Having policies so that we know if I have to be fired, this is the process. If I have to be ABCD, this is the process. Then that is that fairness of the equity and all that. When you come to salaries, again, the same thing happens. When you come to recruitment, they tend to hire depending on what they feel instead of going for the best talent. And therefore you realize they are stuck with the people they should have let go, but now they are stuck with them because they don't know how. And if they let them go, they don't do the procedure, they end up in court and things to do with that. So my message to SMEs would be, if you can't afford a full-time HR, there are very many outsourcing agencies, including us and many others, that you can bring on board. Even if it is not a firm, you can get a HR person. I'm sure you know one. Engage them, let them come and put for you what I'm calling the minimum HR standards. The minimum HR, we can deal with the rest, the strategy bit of HR and all that. But in terms of the minimum HR standards, let us get that, because the cost of non-compliance is very heavy. When you fire an employee and they go to court because of this and this and this and this, or maybe they sue you as a group because you didn't give them contracts, whatever that it is extremely, when you can't manage their productivity, it is very, very painful. So everybody, be it SME or whichever organization, people need to be treated as if they matter, because you can never achieve your mission through the equipment that you have, or through your mission, or through your products that you're selling, even though the products are very good or your idea is very good. You achieve that through people. And therefore, it means HR becomes very important, because starting from who you bring in the company, which is a HR function, recruitment, who you bring through that door, if you get the hire wrong, it has a ripple effect. That is how we start now having the performance improvement plan, the disciplinary issues, all that until litigation. So it becomes very, very important. You get a good person, they are not in that, I'm giving the basics, they are not inducted properly, and they just drown, or they swim out and leave you. And becomes very costly for you to keep doing things that I'm calling basics of HR. So you can get that right. There are very many ways of killing a rat. You don't have to employ someone to be there full time. Outsource that particular function. Whatever you do, you could be 5 employees, you could be 4 employees, but treat them properly. When you worked, how they treated you, please let them feel like they work for a proper organization. Let them leave because of other things, but not because they feel they work for a place that they keep saying family business. Let them not quote what they're saying the family business has no procedure. Yeah.
Amazing. I think our viewers have heard you, and because most of our viewers would be SMEs, it's very important that you have a HR professional, be it a consultant or a full-time HR professional, so that you can have the basic or the bare minimum standards, like our guest today have said. And we've come to the end of the episode. Thank you very much, Jane, for honoring our request to be on the show today. And we are very grateful. Probably you can give us a parting shot.
Thank you, Peter. I can only say people first. People first, and the rest will be okay.
Wow.
Your employees have to be happy before your customers can be happy.
Yeah.
If your employees are not happy, trust you me, even the customers will cry. It is always people first and the rest will follow. So if you just focus on ensuring that the people are right, you engage properly, you treat them properly, you do everything that is supposed to be done properly and within the law, people will feel like they're working for a proper place and they'll have a reason to make your customers smile. Otherwise, you can keep writing about the machinery, the products, your beautiful ideas, innovations, but they'll have no driver. You can get that Range Rover, but without a good driver, it will not move from the parking. People first.
Amazing. People first. Thank you very much. And I believe we will share your contacts so that anyone who might be interested to contact you for more discussions and conversation can do so. Have a lovely evening and we'll talk soon. Asante.
Thank you, Peter.
All right.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.